What's up, everybody? Mark of Kardavox Academy, and this is like the fourth time I've done this intro because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I got a toddler. I own and run a business. I'm a sleepy boy, but you got to make the content. We're here to make the content. And I am excited to do a vocal analysis of Slaughter to Prevail, Russian Grizzly in America, which I just don't know. I know, like, we're going to see. We're going to see what this is all about. But it is true that when it comes to false chord vocals, Alex Terrible provides one of the top opportunities to talk about them from an educational perspective. So that's what we're here to do today. We're here to convey vocal analysis and vocal education. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I'm a metal vocal coach of about 15-ish years. I don't remember exactly when I started. I'm a full-time harsh vocal instructor. I teach people how to make sounds like and safely and efficiently so they don't hurt themselves. That's my full-time thing, very full-time. Yeah, I'm excited to do some vocal analysis here. See, I'm like stuttering over my words. That's how tired I am. But you know what, folks? We're here to make the content. We're here to do the vocal analysis and to keep the stank of Alex's voice away. If you're not in the metal community, you might think that I just lobbed an insult, but actually saying that somebody's vocals have a lot of stank is a high compliment in this community. So this will keep wow, that's a lot of smoke. Holy cow. Anyway, to keep the demons at bay, this incense will keep me safe from his gurgles and growls. All right, let's do this. Slaughter to Prevail, Russian Grizzly in America. This is not sticking in my little pot of, I put the incense in a little pot of coins I use for D&D. So, all right, let's do this. I don't know. Something about this just screams meme to me. So let's see it. Whoa. Oh, it's gonna be fucking beautiful. There are the Alex Terrible lows. There they are. So let's go ahead and let's talk about what I'm hearing so far. So yeah, this video is playing out exactly how I expected it to, which it's a lot of, this is almost like a montage of things that are surrounding Alex Terrible that have become sort of iconic or emblematic. There's like you've got the grizzly bear and him because he did the grizzly bear fighting thing and Russian grizzly bears. And then you've got Mask Store, and then which, like, hey, that's like, listen, you're gonna see lower thirds for me too. It's part of the game. We play it. I get it. But it's definitely a lot of iconic stuff smushed together. Not that that's a bad or good thing, but it is kind of funny to see. But let's talk about his vocals. I'm hearing now. I'm a person who, on my off time, I'm mostly listening to stuff like black metal. I really like bands like Hamfer and Jotun. It's the same vocalist. So, and part of the reason for that is because my job entrenches me in deathcore so much that when I clock out, I kind of need a break. So I haven't followed every single release that Slaughter to Prevail or any other deathcore adjacent band has released. So when I say this next part, I may be a little bit behind, but I'm hearing Alex do new stuff. I'm hearing him do new things, right? He has progressively added high screams to his repertoire as time has gone on, but I'm hearing him do very interesting, like almost cattle decapitation-esque, like tunnely highs. Like there are these moments where he does, this like, and that's not a sound I've heard from him before. And it's interesting to hear him broaching these more compressed avenues, right? Okay, this incense is really releasing a lot of smoke. Calm down, buddy. Now, this is interesting because a lot of his iconic sound is that mid roar, that mid powerful false chord roar, right? And so hearing him go into these, like adding more highs, peppering more highs, these like the compressed tunnely sound is really interesting. And, you know, starting off like that snare, that first one that hit, I don't know if I've heard a tail on a snare that long in my life. But also like the pongy open snare, like that's really coming back, it seems like. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it never left, but I just think of how mad everybody got in Saint Anger over the open snare. And I don't know. But we're going to talk more technique later because I want to get more into the song, especially because I've got a lesson in less than 30 minutes. But that emblematic, iconic false chord roar is present. It's strong. Makes sense why people equate it to a grizzly bear, right? Let's go ahead and let's keep going, and then we'll talk some technique. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about while we move forward, right? Because we're here for as much educational value as I can bring you. I want you to think about these different ranges and just kind of think to yourself what kind of airflow we might be looking at. Which vocals are more dumpy of air? Which more vocals hold on to air more? If so, why? Let's keep going. So I know I'm pausing it in kind of a weird spot. I like to listen for breaks in songs, but there are a lot of really important things that we need to talk about here. So one thing that I'm really enjoying about hearing Alex do his signature vocals here, obviously, is it's a really good example of why and how valuable the false chord mid can be. I remember when I first started doing this vocal coaching thing 5-ish years ago. I mean, my memory is terrible. When exactly? I think that Kardavox Academy started in 2019. Could have been 2020 though. I don't know. It was the pandemic. Weird times, right? But when I first started, not everybody. It was very common for the people who came to me to learn vocals and for me to see in the metal vocal landscape this sort of view that false chord was not that dynamic. There was not much you could do with it. Good place to start, but you want to get away from it as fast as you can. And everybody, when I first started, they were obsessed with the whistle fry. Oh my God, the whistle fry. And I think people eventually figured out that like you can do it a couple times on an album and then it's not really that interesting anymore. So now that may not have been your experience with the perception of false chord and fry and all these things. But that's how it was when I was teaching and a lot of people I was talking to. And I remember being like, wow, like you can do so much with false chord. And he's exemplifying a really important aspect of the false chord mid right here. And it is that it can very much act as our grand central station. Now, what I mean by this is if you think about a place where trains, so not anywhere in the US that I've been, except for maybe like Chicago, if you live in a place where trains are a big mode of transportation, oftentimes if you need to get from here to here, you're going to get on one train, go through a central station, and then move to the next, right? Now, false chord mids are very good for that, right? So we have a nice false chord mid roar. One of my favorite ways to get people to this, and he has some old videos where he would do like this, like sort of sound, is like with this Karga, We'll talk more about that in a second. But if I take this,
Hey, that's a false chord man right there.
If I take that, it's so easy to just lift it, right? Lift it up into the front of the face, and you can hear him doing it here. Now in the studio, they may be doing multi-track where the highs are on one track, the mids are on another, and they're blending them together. But live, it would not be very difficult at all to take this. See how easy it is? Yeah. Very, very, very doable, right? You can drop it into a low as well. Even compress it into something more epiglottal. Very versatile. And, I never know what these vocalists are thinking about when they are in the studio. So I can only guess, but I feel like the way he wrote the vocals to this song, he was keeping that in mind. Now we all hear what we want to hear, of course, that you never escape internal bias, but it really does sound to me like the way he's moving around between these, especially the way that they're like layered and panned, that's something that he was thinking about. One thing that I actually discovered that I was not aware of through watching one of his, this is years ago, one of his one takes, where he's just sitting at his mic, is the way one of the ways that he adds a lot of resonance to his voice. It sounds kind of tunnely, but you don't, at least I didn't at the time, see him doing a lot of this. To anyone who's saying, whoa, tunnely, what do you mean, Mark? Tunnel throat is, as with many vocal terms, loose and broad, but it generally refers to creating a cavernous sound by way of curling the tongue in such a manner that you create sort of like this secondary or even perhaps tertiary resonant pocket, right? The most common way that people do that is like this, curling the tongue. I learned how to do this actually back in the day from a Austin Dickey video. So we have this curve, seal the lips against the tongue, and it makes your voice have that really boomy sound, and it creates a lot of really good opportunities for creating cool sounds. Like if I take again a mid, a high, oftentimes, and this is the thing that I kind of learned from watching him do his one takes, he often has his tongue resting mostly flat on his bottom teeth. And you can hear that it kind of creates a similar cottonmouthy sort of sound. And that creates, now I don't sound exactly like Alex Terrible. I have never been the type of vocalist or the type of teacher to be too focused on that. I think it's really pretty boring. To the degree that when I get student inquiries where people are like, I want to sound exactly like this guy, I'm not interested in teaching that kind of lesson. That's not fascinating for me. But we can get similar color tones and textures. You can use your voice to create the sounds that you know how to make and find similar color tones and textures, right? And so if I do this, does it sound like Alex Terrible? No. Does it have a really powerful, interesting roar that is kind of inspired by him? Absolutely. And so we take this, really powerful. And that's one thing I like about his voice is that it maintains power while coming from a place with a lot of relaxation. Okay. I could blabber on even longer, but let's keep going. I'm going to pause it right there because actually, is that the end and we have like a long outro movie? That's kind of what it looks like. We'll see. I don't know. So let's talk about a couple things. I want to talk more technique now. And also, like, I want to talk. Okay, we'll talk technique and I'll save this part for the end. This video is outrageous. I don't dislike it. It's just like, I don't know. I'll tell you what it is. So now I want to talk more technique. And also, I have a bone. I have a bone to pick. It sounded weird the way I phrased it, but I don't care. I have a bone to pick, right? I remember when he first did that gator roll, and in my video, in my reaction, I was like, that sounds like a tongue roll to me. And people in the comments were like, he's doing something with his lateral cricoid, arytenoidal, epiglottal, blah. And I was like, I don't think so, homies. And everyone's like, no, it's some crazy thing. I know for sure because I read it on Reddit. And then sure enough, he puts up a tutorial and you know what it was? A flippin' tongue roll. Vindication. I don't know why, but I remember reading those comments being like, why does everything have to be so complicated? I swear some of these like top tier vocalists could like, I don't know, sneeze and people would be like, what technique was that? But anyway, so let's talk technique, right? False chord vocals are the main thing that I teach. And that's the main thing that Alex builds on. Now, the reason I teach mainly false chord is because I use mostly false chord and false chord adjacent sounds. When I'm saying false chord adjacent, I mean things that are easy to reach from false chord. So for example, like moving from a false chord mid to like a arytenoidal epiglottal compressed. Those are mostly the things I do. Now, in my time teaching vocals, I have found a lot of techniques that are very useful for learning false chord, and I have found some that are less successful. For me, the most successful technique. Now, I didn't make this up. This is not my thing. The link between Kargaria and throat singing and false chord vocalization, or even metal vocalization, has been around for a long time. The first person I know of who researched that, I think this was back in the 90s, was Sebastian Croteau. I'm probably saying his name wrong. Monster Factory. He does a lot of work in like the intersection between extreme vocalization and like voice acting. So when I should say that this is my way to teach, what I mean is this is the way I use. It is not the way that I created. This has been around for a long time, but it's the use of Kargaria, right? Which is this type of sound. To lead into an open false chord sound. Now, this is one of many ways that I use, but it's my favorite, and that's why I'm going to tell you about it. If you want to know about the other ways that I teach false chord vocalization, you can hit me up on the website, kardavoxacademy.com. See, I told you you're going to have lower thirds for me too, right? I'm not against the game. Or you can check out my e-course, False Chord Fundamentals. It's on the same website, kardavoxacademy.com. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Right? I want to make sure that I feel that vibration in the front of my face, that the back of my mouth feels open and relaxed. I feel no real tension here. If I really pay attention, I can feel a slight activation just above my vocal cords, but it's on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 0.2. I barely feel it. I have to really be searching for that sensation. And an easy way to get this sound, if you're having trouble, is to talk like a pirate. Yar, I'm a pirate. Or to think about gently clearing your throat, but with your voice. I was recently on NPR Science Friday, and I taught Flora, our host, how to do this a little bit. She was really good at it. But if I take this, and I'm going to bark it gently. But as I bark it, I'm going to hold on to that Kargaria. I don't want to lose it. Okay? I don't want to lose it. E-O, 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 E-O. Not bad. I'm not exerting myself. I'm not going crazy. You can see a little bounce in my body from my abdominal cavities. Squeezing. I'm squeezing my core. I'm not flexing it, right? E-O, E-O, E-O. Now, if we listen to Kargaria, we can hear two things. We can hear the distortion, and we can hear the voice underneath it. Also this, that was just me simulating it. It's not where we're getting the false chord sound from. So if I have two separate sounds, and my goal is to separate them, to peel them apart. Okay. So if I think about this bark, yo, 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 as just the voice, it sounds like this. Yo, yo, yo. What if I allow myself to get a little breathy on the bark? Yo, yo, yo. I don't have to remove the voice entirely. That's a good goal to have, but we don't have to do it now, right? And I let that bark get a little breathy. Yo, 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 hey. Now I've got a false chord sound that I could use. And you can keep it very simple at first. And you can add on to it later. Throw some of that tunnel in there. Tilt it down in the front of the mouth, not in the throat. You got a lot of cool sounds you can make. I really enjoy the way that he punctuates and he punches with his voice. Makes sense for an MMA fighter, right? The way he uses these to really punch and aggressively attack the music. It makes a lot of sense. And it's a good example of a lot of people, they'll say, well, I don't like false chord because you run out of air. And I'm like, so inhale. So breathe in. It's okay, right? We run out of air. We replenish our, we replenish our reserve.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 8,
Like what? Like, who cares if you can't hold it out for 13 seconds? Why are you doing that all the time anyway? But yeah, really good use of the false chord mid here, and really good example of how versatile it can be. I'm going to push play because it actually does look like we get some song coming back. I don't really know what's going on here. But yeah. Let's keep going.
Там, где всегда мороз, спиной медведи, а земную
We need to play it.
плывут столетия, подо льдом моря, а бой
Oh, God. I hate these ads so much. Get out of my face. Let's just go back and get... Ugh. So let's talk about a couple more things. We'll just do this. How about that? We'll just do that. Let's talk about a couple more things. Alex has a very unique low tone, and it's not one that I have ever found a lot of success simulating for myself. I've seen a lot of different tutorials, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna tell you how to do that, right? His really deep low tone, because I don't do it very well myself. I achieve my lows in a much different way. For me, it's like this, like that sort of thing, right? One thing I will say though is I've seen a lot of different tutorials on how to achieve the Alex Terrible low, and a lot of them doing it different ways, and a lot of them being successful, right? So some people, they really pull their larynx down and they like swallow the sound. They push the tongue really far back, and they add a little nasality in their nose. Now, again, I'm not very good at it, so I'm not gonna all of a sudden sound like him. But they'll do this like and then put like see, it doesn't work when I do it. It sounds similar, but it's not quite there. I've seen other people do it entirely with more of an oral resonance, right? Forward, leaving the larynx more neutral. The reason I'm pointing this out is because I think that is really cool. I love that, when I first started this vocal coaching game, I thought I had to do everything the right way, and I have to be able to recreate every sound out there. But as I have done this, I've given over 5,000 vocal lessons now. I have found that it is very, it is much more interesting, and it is much more valuable to find sounds in a way that you do that, it based on a sound that you can make in a way that makes sense with your body, right? So I want to actually listen to that outro one more time, because he was doing some interesting high stuff that it was very brief, and I didn't feel like I got a good listen. Ooh, I got a lesson in 10 minutes. Eesh. Do we have time? We have time. We have time. We got to go back to roughly here. Let me share my screen. There we go. I think that's right. We'll just start it here. It doesn't matter.
белом свете,
Yeah, fine.
там, где всегда мороз, за спиной медведи, а земную рось. Плывут столицы, спят подо льдом моря, а босс
Yeah, it's that. It sounds almost like Ian Bearer a little bit. Maybe not exactly, but it says like this very like feline, like it's the way he's closing around on that. That sounds very interesting to me. It's got this like very elongated vocal tract sort of sound, which is very interesting paired with high vocals generally, because high vocals tend to be more of a compressed, not always, more of a compressed, concise, you know, like big open bright sound. Like that sort of thing. And he's doing like this. Yeah. It almost has like a Fry sound to it, but not really. It's a very interesting tone, and it's just very brief. And I wish it was a little bit more forward in the mix, but that's just because I'm being nerdy, right? Let's see if he does again. There's a lot of pitch in that. You can almost hear that note. I don't know what that would be. Let's find out. That would be... I don't have perfect pitch. Very few people do. A sharp, maybe close to it. Interesting lip movement around that tongue roll. Yeah. Maybe those lowered larynx tutorials have something going for him. Sounds almost like he's going, "Hey guys, what's up?" Listen to that. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass to edit it, but listen to that. Interesting. It's interesting how forward that becomes when it's isolated. That's really interesting to me. Fascinating. Yeah, the tongue roll. There's a lot of that going on there too. That was something, not necessarily the tongue roll, but that was something that was really popular. I want to say like 2021-ish, was you had a lot of people doing their vocals and you had them sort of like while they were doing them. So you would have a sound like, you know, and people, it's just the vocal with while you do it, just a little extra airflow. And that was like a really popular thing there for a while too. Yeah, a lot of interesting. I've never tried that before. I've never tried that. I'm not going to play it again because, again, I need to actually edit this video. I've never tried that before. I've never tried, like, I've of course put pitch in my false chords. That's how you get a lot of like really cool,
Hey, boy, blow! Hey, that's how you get.
a lot of really cool, like aggressive, like Slipknot-ish, Paleface-ish vocals, Kublai Khan. Although, interestingly enough, he sounds a lot different sometimes live versus album, like intentionally so. But I've never tried doing my vocals. I usually find, oh, you can hear my guitar. That's a difficult, I'm sure a lot of people can do that. If you do that, talk about it in the comments below. But for me, if I it sort of messes up that false chord sensation. That's easy. I could do that all day.
I could do this all day.
The vowel. I'm just, if anybody's done watching, feel free. I'm just going to keep it recording while I play around and have fun. So if I take this,
That's a very,
that phoneme, that vowel is very forward. So for me, I feel like that might be worth trying. Now I'm going to let some voice through on purpose. Now I'm going to, what if I put a tunnel on there? I will say it's not uncomfortable per se, but the way the vibrations are flopping around in my throat is not what I'm used to. I'm used to, a lot of my technique is to take all that rumbly sensation and get it up out of the throat as much as possible and aim it to the front of the face. So when I do stuff like, there's very little sensation here, not none, very little sensation here and almost none here. And when I do like a high, I feel zero in my throat. Even when I do like low stuff, that's mostly up here, even though it's getting created down there. So, oh yeah, about this tunnel, pitch, drop. It's not the same thing. It's not the same sound he's making, but it is a fun sound. That's the front tone. Pitch. That's something fun to play with. Anyway, I'm just messing around now. I got 4 minutes till my lesson, so I gotta go. But that's Slaughter to Prevail, Russian Grizzly in America. I saw Hollywood. I think I saw a Tesla. Gross. My son, this is a proud father moment. My son's 2.5 and we were in the car and a Cybertruck came by and he's like, Dad, what's that ugly car? And I was like, ha, got him. I thought that was very funny. And I've never talked with him about Cybertrucks because why would I? So I don't know. He just legitimately, as a 2.5-year-old, thought it was ugly, and I loved it. Yeah, videos very meme. It reminds me. I've been to multiple countries across Europe before, and sometimes you go into the grocery store and there's like an American food section, and oftentimes it's food that I've never seen in my life, like a hot dog and corn pizza. You know what I mean? Which, like, that's fine, whatever. Like, I get it. And this video kind of seemed like somebody just lumping all those things together, which maybe that was the goal, maybe that was the point, I don't know. But excellent opportunity for some harsh false chord vocalization. If you're interested in learning how to do these vocals or any other type of extreme vocalization, check out KardavoxAcademy.com. You can check out my e-course, False Chord Fundamentals. In the name, it does say fundamentals. So if you're an advanced vocalist and you're like, this is just the fundamentals, read the title. That's all I got for you. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.